Good evening. I am making a recipe video on a pasta that I have made on several occasions for different events or just for dinner at home. It is a recipe I just made up, so it's kind of a little bit of a hit and miss when it comes to measurements and stuff like that, but hopefully you guys will get the gist of how I make it, and hopefully it turns out well for your home. I'm going to make it a little bit different tonight just because I don't have, I think, all the exact ingredients that I would normally use it, as in when I first started making it. This is a quote recipe, yes, I have a knife in my hand, that I literally just made up on the spot. If you know anything about me, I don't normally use a recipe for pretty much anything unless it comes to baking, just because that seems to be a little bit harder for me to master. Or I recently baked bread for the first time, so that's another thing I did use a recipe on. But when it comes to like everyday food, I might somewhat follow a recipe, but it's normally never exact. So I don't even really have a name for this, but it's just kind of like a creamy pasta, and you can pretty much put any kind of meat you want in it. This time, which is the first thing I actually made when I made this pasta, was Italian sausage, and I mix it. I do a sweet, either a sweet and a hot or a sweet and a mild. Just depends on what we're in the mood for. So anyway, this is the sausage. I've already cooked it up, and I'm going to be adding some garlic in it, some fresh garlic here, and then I'll probably, I'm thinking about cutting up this pepper, and then I'm going to put some broccoli florets in it as well, and cook that together. Okay, but before I do that, I am going to drain this meat, because personally I have found that when I don't drain it, it is super oily, especially if we have leftovers. And Steven and I, my husband, we're both just not a fan of the oil in it, because then it just, well, not to be too personal, but it just causes like stomach problems. So we're not personal fans of the oil in it, so I do try and drain it and rinse it a little bit even, and let it just kind of sit there. I also add to it some minced onion. I cut up usually a sweet onion or a white onion. Honestly, this is, if I'm honest, this is super, super, super versatile, this recipe. So I will maybe give a follow-up afterwards of kind of what I do, but this recipe is super versatile. I have used chicken in it, I normally, actually, when I do this sausage, I will do sliced bell peppers as well. So just make it comfortable for your home, your family. If you have kids, your kids. My daughter, she's super, super picky, but she will at least eat the noodles in it with the sauce. So I'm going to come back once I get myself together a little more here and kind of go further on the recipe. Right now I'm going to go ahead and drain and then cut up the onion and things that I need, and then go from there. Okay, everyone, I've just rinsed out my meat. I'm going to let it sit there for a little bit, just in case there's any extra grease in there, and let it drain. Yes, I know people are probably, some of y'all, freaking out letting some grease go down the drain, but I grew up in an old school house. We just put some Dawn dish liquid near the drain so that when grease went down, the Dawn dish liquid just gets rid of it, or helps break it up. So don't worry, it'll be alright, I promise. I forgot to tell you, I did do 2 pounds of the sausage, but of course it kind of depends on your family, your size of your family. and of course whether or not you want to use that meat, but you can use chicken as well, like I said. And I did already crush up, do some minced garlic. I did like 3 cloves. Some of them were kind of small, so it could be like more like 2.5. And then we're gonna do probably half of this, like I'm gonna say it's like a medium to large onion, probably just half of it. Then I'll save the rest for later. I had half a lime. I always like different flavors, so I'm gonna probably squeeze some of that in there. Like I said, you can use whatever you like. I'm gonna do just a little bit of fresh rosemary and cut it up. Some of that is old, so I'm just gonna have to pick out some of the good ones. But I'll do my best to leave somewhat of a recipe down below in the description. I honestly just use seasonings I know my family likes, and seasonings that I am already familiar with, so that I know I'm going to like them. So I will do my best to just leave some of the seasonings below that I use, and you guys can kind of just go from there. Sorry, I'm getting a text in the middle of this. As to what you like, it's really just things, spices that you like, things you like. I will one of these days hopefully do another version of this that's kind of somewhat like an Alfredo. It uses a lot of the same ingredients, it just has more of an Italian flavor, I guess. So yeah, I'm sorry this video is all a little over the place. I'm not a videographer by any means, or a vlogger. I just like to cook. I personally just enjoy cooking. Is it perfect all the time? Does it taste the same all the time? No, because I don't use a recipe. But I think that's the fun of cooking, is that you just experiment with what you like, what your family likes, and you go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this onion cut up, get the broccoli ready to go, and get the meat back on the burner with everything, and then I will be back. Okay, y'all, I've just added in the garlic and the onion after letting the meat drain as much as possible. After this, I'm going to go ahead and add the broccoli and maybe a little bit of the bell pepper. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I do that. Okay, y'all, so I have put the bell pepper in. I have not put the broccoli yet, because depending on how much cream I have is going to determine how much broccoli I put in, because I like our broccoli to be nice and cooked. Some people like still the crunch of it. I'm not a personal fan. If you are, then go for it. Okay, so I don't know, maybe this is going to look a little crazy to put this in here, but I'm doing it anyway. I am putting a whole can of evaporated milk in here. As I said, this is going to be like a creamy type of sauce. All my spices are out because I'm redoing my cabinet, because I've got a new little rack thing there. So just ignore the mess. It's just a part of, we just moved into a new house, so we're still kind of organizing things. Okay, now I actually thankfully had a whole 32 full ounce bottle here of heavy whipping cream, which if you're on the keto is keto friendly. I don't know about the rest of this, but I do know that is. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of this, because it will later get soaked up by the pasta that you use. The pasta, if you've not really cooked a lot with pasta, pasta does soak up liquid a lot, and this will be soaked up, especially mostly by the noodles when you cook them. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some broccoli florets. I'll do my best to kind of estimate how much I put in, and I will be back. Okay, y'all, so I think probably I added about like 2 cups of broccoli, and I also cut off some of them that had a lot more stem on them just so they would separate a little bit more and go a little further. And plus, if you have kids, sometimes with veggies, the smaller you have them, the better. Because then sometimes even my daughter might be willing to sneak a bite there if they're cut up a little smaller. So I think it was probably about 2 cups. I'm going to let this boil for a little bit. I'll let you know what seasonings I add for sure. You may think this is a little crazy, but give me just a second. Okay, one of the things I actually put in is 2 sticks of cinnamon. So you can just buy them in the big little container and of cinnamon sticks. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but I promise you it gives it such a good, unique flavor. And cinnamon's good for your metabolism. So, you know, when you have pasta in there, you need a little metabolism kicker. And cinnamon is one of them. So I do let this kind of get stirred in there. And it adds a really good, just unique flavor. It's not super, super strong, believe it or not. But it is really good. I also added like a pinch of that fresh rosemary that I had. I did like cut it up really fine. And then I will let you know what else I add. Okay, so I added 1 teaspoon of basil, a half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper, a pinch of chili powder, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of some kickin' chicken seasoning, a teaspoon of parsley flakes, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, about a half a teaspoon of this veggie herb seasoning from, it's called the Peppery King. I got it offline and it's really, really good. If you don't have this seasoning, I would just say just try and find a really good Italian seasoning blend that you like, and that will work the same. Also gonna squeeze a little of this lime juice in here just to give it somewhat of a citrusy flavor. And I'm just gonna let it boil for a little bit. Then I'm gonna get my pot ready for my pasta. And once this is pretty well cooked and the pasta is kind of at al dente, I don't want it fully cooked, just like right there at that al dente where it's almost cooked, because I do add the noodles into the sauce so that the noodles actually soak up the flavor from the sauce, and it just kind of helps everything marry together per se. So I'm gonna try and clean up my kitchen here a little bit while this cooks on kind of a medium to low heat, just to let it simmer and get that broccoli kind of cooked up. And then I will be back. Also, you can add salt and pepper to taste. I like fresh ground pepper. I just think it has a better flavor. Some people are not big fans of pepper, so you don't have to add it. But I just do a little bit of salt and pepper to taste as well. Okay, y'all, it's probably been about 15 minutes or so. I have turned this down to a low heat, and I am putting my water on. I'm going to put my salt in it in order to be able to season the pasta a little bit. This is the only time that you have to season your pasta, is when it is cooking or boiling. So as Rachel Ray says, it kind of needs to, if you were to taste it, it would taste like salt water, kind of from the ocean a little bit. So it helps to just season the pasta. So I'm going to get this to a boil. Once it's done, I'm going to drain it, save a little bit of the water, and add it to my sauce. And then I will just add the pasta to this yummy sauce over here. Y'all, it really does already smell good. But I'm just leaving it on a low heat. And then once the pasta is done, I will add it in. Just a side note here, y'all, my hubby just pulled out a big root out of the ground. Oh my goodness, we have so much to do out here, but one step by step. When I make pasta at any time, this is usually always my go-to. I just like the texture of it, that it's, I don't know, I'm just obsessed with penne. Like, you can ask my husband, unless of course we make spaghetti, which I honestly rarely do because I'm not a big red sauce fan, mostly because it gives me reflux. But when I make pasta, it's usually always this kind, and sometimes I can even get like the organic kind from Kroger, like the, not Private Selection, but whatever their organic brand is. I will get that sometimes cheaper even than this one, the off-brand. So this is my pasta of choice, but like I said, make it comfortable for your home, what you all prefer, whether it be angel hair, even spaghetti noodles. I'm sure this would probably still taste good with that. But I like a little bit heartier kind of a noodle with the sausage and stuff. I just think it's a better texture. But use what you like, what you prefer, and hopefully this water will get to boiling here pretty soon. I personally use a whole thing just because I like to have leftovers of this. I'm not a big leftovers fan, but this specific pasta, or the type of pasta, I do like it left over with the sauce a lot. And right now we don't have a microwave, but I'll just heat it back up on the stovetop till we get a microwave. So once this gets to boiling, then I will kind of show you all what it looks like once it's all kind of mixed together. Okay, the water has come to a boil. I'm adding in my pasta. I'm going to grab one of my spoons here and stir it up. Just kind of spread it out so it doesn't stick together too much. I'm going to let this cook for, let's see here, about 9 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer here for about 9 minutes just to see where it's at. And then we will drain it a little bit and add it to this goodness over here. Okay, it's cooked for about 9 minutes. I'm going to let it go for maybe just 1 more minute, just because they're still a little too uncooked, but probably just another minute here. And they will be right at, I think, al dente, which is good, and then I'll drain them and switch them over. Sorry this video has been so long. As you can tell, I'm an amateur when it comes to this stuff. Well, maybe not cooking, but the art of doing it on video is a different story. I would suggest, if you're a bread lover, my personal favorite with pastas is ciabatta bread. I actually like that with soups as well. It's you can get it at Kroger. Sorry, this camera is so close. I don't have a tripod or anything like that, so I'm just holding it with my hand. And it is much harder to hold it far out with my arm. Excuse my messy kitchen, we're still getting stuff together. Than just to hold it close to my face. But I don't even know. Did I show you guys this? I don't even remember. How terrible is that? But here is what it looks like all mixed up. And I put the bread in the oven so we can have just a little bit of a side with it. And oh, I can't wait to eat it. It looks so good. Smells so good. Hopefully it tastes just as good. Hopefully you guys can follow this as much as possible. I did my best to explain. This is almost a 20-minute long video. I may have to figure out how to edit it so it's not so long. And if you can't tell, I like to talk a lot, so sorry. But the last thing I showed you was my hubby got out 1 root. Well, now he's gotten out 4. And he has like 2 to go. I don't know if he's going to do them all tonight because that would be a lot. But he's doing a really good job out there, guys. He's a hard worker. Okay, I think I'm going to end the video here. Hopefully that you guys will try this recipe. Again, I say it is my own just made up thing. I like to do that a lot. If I post more recipes, you'll see that. A lot of my pasta recipes are somewhat similar. Some of them have a little bit different flair to them, but a little bit different ingredients. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I hope you try it. Leave a comment below if you try it, what you think. Even if you mix or put something different in it, let me know what you do, because I'd like to try it myself, and because I'm a big pasta lover. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will hopefully see you again soon if I can figure out how to get this thing up. And y'all have a great day. Bye. Okay, hubby's gonna give an honest opinion of the pasta I just made and see how he likes it.
Alright, let's see what this is.
So,
That's good.
do you like the flavor?
Huh?
Is the cinnamon too strong in it, or is it okay?
No. I could probably use a little bit more cinnamon.
You think?
Yeah. I'm not sure what's missing. But it tastes good.
I like it. I thought it turned out really good, because you know it's never the same when I make it, usually.
Yeah. I really like it. Really good.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
You heard it from the man himself.
Good.
He said it's good. Jane's turn, the ultimate critic. She actually already had a bite, so we'll see if it's the same reaction this time. Ready? Mm-hmm. Bite it. Oh. It's okay. What you think?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Is it good?
You like it? Mm-hmm. All right. Good job. There we go. Kid likes it too.